The Starry Night, The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh is one of the most recognizable works of art today. It can be seen in its original form, as I've just showed you, but it is also pretty famous, as seen in several reproduction parodies, such as Batman, Doctor Who, or Pac-Man, just to name a few. It can also be seen on anything from a t-shirt, to a cup, to a lunchbox, to tattoos, to puzzles, and almost anything else you can imagine. Van Gogh is my all-time favorite painter, and Starry Night is my hands-down favorite painting. Van Gogh seems to be known as the crazy guy that cut off his ear and killed himself, but there's so much more to him than that, and many plausible explanations as to why he ended up with this infamous reputation. It's a little known fact that he did not actually cut off his entire ear, but just a little piece of his earlobe. He was born March 30th, 1853 in the Netherlands, the oldest of his family. He was preceded in death a year earlier by an older brother, also named Vincent. There were 6 kids total, with Theo, the third, was Vincent's closest friend. Growing up, he was considered a strange child, and his mother thought of him as difficult and his dreams ridiculous. He started painting and drawing in the early 1880s. He is described as a post-impressionist and was influenced by many of the well-known impressionists such as Claude Monet and Edward Degas. He produced over 900 paintings in the short decade that he painted, with his most famous ones being done towards the end in the 1888s and the 1889. He sold only one painting during his life. Later, he committed himself to the St. Remy Psychiatric Institution in 1889, near Arles. He spent a year there, where he ended up painting The Starry Night. On July 27, 1890, he shot himself, but he died 2 days later due to infections from not properly taking care of his wounds on July 29, 1890. Not only was he influenced, but he also influenced many of the other movements that happened in art, such as the German Expressionists, the Abstract Expressionists, the Neo-Expressionists, and Eric Fischl. Starry Night was painted in June 1889. It's an oil painting on a 29 by 36 and a quarter inch canvas. It's currently on display at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. He painted this during the day strictly from memory. It shows a peaceful, sleepy town under a swirling night sky. This was painted while he was in the mental asylum of St. Remy. As you can see on my poster, he has a self-portrait of himself that he painted in 1887. Starry Night was painted in 1889, but there's a similar painting with a similar title called Starry Night Over the Rhone that he painted in 1888. As you can see, there's a cypress tree in Starry Night, and you can see the similarities of the cypresses in this painting that he did in 1889. If you can also notice the similar skies that he painted of the Cafe Terrace at night in 1888 as well. All these pictures have similar elements, as do many of his other pictures that he painted during this time. You can see many of the similarities, including the halos around the stars that he paints, the same colors in all the paintings, similar palette and brush strokes, texture of that the painting almost seems that you can touch it and you can feel everything that's going on it. The brush strokes have such heavy, thick, short strokes. The reflections in the river, as well as above the town and in the sky. The lights shining. And just the colors and the different kinds of chaos. His lines aren't straight, but they curve to show movement. And you can see the sky moving and the clouds blowing. And the water waves. I'm just fascinated by the colors and the chaos in the sky, with the town below being completely unaware of anything that's happening. The cypress trees grow up like they're reaching towards the sky. they have an ominous feel to me, and I always thought of them as more like a mountain or a hill reaching towards the sky, wanting to capture the energy that was so abundant there. During Van Gogh's life, his paintings were not thought of highly, which is evident since he only sold one. Shortly after his death, his paintings began to gain recognition and popularity. His brother Theo and his wife inherited all his paintings that he had left. They saved them and later put them on display and got them popular. They could see that there was something special about them, and they knew that other people would eventually see it too. His art after his death has been highly praised and continues to be praised till this day. He influenced many artistic movements with his use of colors and technique of the sweeping, expressive brushstrokes. His life has also inspired music, films, and books. Starry Night is well known for the yellow glow around each star and the moon. Yellow is a very popular color that he uses in many of his paintings, but some believe that this may be part of his illness and not actually part of his preference. It's well known that he was a drinker and his favorite liquor was absinthe. An excessive consumption of this may cause objects to have a yellow hue, which would explain all the yellow in his paintings. Another reason may be over-medication from chalices. Large and repeated doses of this drug can cause objects to have a yellow-green tinge to them. Many people taking this drug complain of yellow spots with halos, much like you can see around the stars and the moons in his paintings, and any light for that matter. So it's interesting to think that maybe this is actually how he saw things and not just how he artistically expressed it in his paintings. Pissarro describes the painting of Starry Night as the cypress trees resembling flames and relates them to death. The village is quiet and waves of swirling energy, and the painting seems to move while in its frame. Pioche describes this painting as vibrating with rockets of yellows, while the planets gyrate like cartwheels. He says the hills quake and heave, but yet the painting still seems to be restful somehow. While Van Gogh had a very troubled life, plagued by depression, he turned his creative energy into creating beautiful works of art that many enjoy today. He never received any praise or encouragement, but nonetheless still did what he loved, one thing that brought him joy. It was almost an obsession of his, this need to create these paintings, something that he saw in his mind that he had to get down. He painted scenes that he saw, things that intrigued him, to show the world how he saw things. While he couldn't overcome his sadness, he has helped many others in a sense of overcoming their own depression. The colors, the lines, the texture, everything about his paintings tend to be awe-inspiring, and we are lucky to get to experience this. His art today is highly appreciated in every sense of the word.